Welcome back to Azimuth Podcast. I am your host, Kimberly McNabb, and with me is my husband, Barrett McNabb. Today we have the poltergeist of narcissist. I'm back! Megan Rapinoe is back in the spotlight. She claimed that her Achilles injury in her last ever game is proof that God does not exist.
Now, last ever game, meaning we don't have to put up with her anymore?
Well, I thought she had already done it, but yeah, thank God. So, in her post, she said, I'm not a religious person or anything, and if there was a God, this is proof there isn't, Rapinoe said. That's just fucked up. 6 minutes in, and I eat my Achilles. So, would she say that people who still believe in God after something truly horrific happens, I don't know, author of Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, who survived a concentration camp, is he stupid for believing in God?
Well, clearly not. I mean, believing in God, it provides purpose, direction, motivation. It's not that bad thing happened, therefore there's no God. God is the one that takes you through the bad events in your life. I think I really enjoyed this poster that is on a lot of refrigerators, and it's footprints in the sand. Mm-hmm. And it has two sets of footprints in the sand, and it's going through this person's life. And at the most difficult periods of time in the individual, there's only one set of footprints. Mm-hmm. And the person said, this is the hardest time of my life. Why is there only one set of footprints when I was walking hand in hand with Jesus Christ? And Jesus responds, that's the time that I was carrying you. And so then there were just the one set because it was Jesus's footprints carrying the individual through the tough times. So, I definitely disagree with her statement.
Well, there are people that take their good times and, flip it around. So, for instance, in England, there was this poor man who lost his baby girl, Indy Gregory. She had this mitochondrial disease, and the health department would not pay for her treatment, would not allow her to go to Italy, where she had been granted Italian citizenship, for treatment. And so, she just died, and the dad has used that to believe in God. He said, I was in such hell that if there is such a hell, well, then there must also be heaven. And then if there's a heaven, there's God. So he has used it to believe in God.
Right. And I think she, there was a Christian outreach group that was helping him through the care and trying to file the lawsuits in order to get her to go to Italy. In fact, the Italian government offered her Italian citizenship so that she could go to Italy to get treatment, and it was denied. But still, he had her baptized. He had her baptized, and he said that he's planning on getting baptized as well, because just to your point, the hell that she went through and that the family went through, and the kindness and compassion that the Christian organization showed him and his family and his daughter, inspired him and made him a believer.
Yep. And, her narcissism is like, oh, something bad happening to me, that's fine for other people, but if it happens to me, something bad happens to me, oh, no, God can't exist. I mean,
right.
That's just very self-centered. And she's not thinking about the fame. She gets to play sport.
Right.
For millions of dollars, endorsements for millions of dollars, things that people can only dream of. And, oh, no, tore my Achilles. And guess what? She's an athlete. It happens. It happens. There are athletes, they work their butts off. They finally get to the NFL or whatever in game one.
Aaron Rodgers. this season.
It's game over. Like career-ending injuries, and she's in her last game. Now, it did happen when she was like no contact whatsoever.
Right. So she was just jogging to get into a position and then just collapsed on the field. It is kind of funny. I've always said that I think she was really injured, but I've always said that soccer players are literally the best actors in the world. Go ahead and watch a soccer game, or a football as they call it in Europe and the rest of the world, and you'll see some minor contact, and a player
like
will
our 5- and
writhe
6-year-old
in pain.
getting injured. Oh,
It is.
I'm hurt.
They are writhing in pain, and they're looking for a yellow card or a red card, and they don't see one. They're like, oh, okay, and they hop right back up. So I mean, they're truly it's an Academy Award worthy event every time I see a European football club play soccer.
Well, even before the SAG strikes, I think the athletes would have made better actors and actresses than some of the stuff we get.
Probably, but still, I can't. I just can't understand the narcissism of her. Just absolutely insane. And again, make this all about me, and let's do.
Meanwhile, October 7th in Israel are happening.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, come on.
She could have used her platform in a couple of different ways, and I
Yeah.
think she chose the worst one.
Yes.
Now, how old is she?
Well, she's 38, and I mean, I'm older than she is, but I'm guessing ingratitude, narcissism, just hate for anything and everything can really show in physical bodily form.
Right.
Now, I am wearing makeup, not great at it, but I'm at an age where I'm not able to fake my age. Sorry.
I think you look gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. While we all know that good people should not actively wish
for absolutely.
bad things to happen to people, but we have to admit there's a little guilty pleasure in appreciating in God's sense of humor.
And God does have a sense of humor. I think we've both seen it. But yes, no, we don't ever wish ill will on anybody. And I hope she does have a speedy recovery. I have torn my Achilles tendon when I was a cross country athlete in high school, and it's no fun. And it hurts. And she did a good job of congratulating her past teammates as she's going off the field. But still, in the press conference afterwards, to kind of throw a flag down on the sport as she's walking out the door just seemed like it was in bad taste.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all of the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in. Welcome to Azimuth Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly McNabb, and with me is my husband, Barrett McNabb. Wauwatosa, a city in Wisconsin, is telling city workers to avoid red and green colors and Christmas decorations because they want to be inclusive and to not offend people. Buildings can instead display snowflakes, snow people, because, God forbid, snow men, greenery, and decorations that draw inspiration from the aurora borealis and incorporate colors like blue, green, and purple. This kind of reminds me of the episode of South Park called Non-Denominational Christmas Party.
Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the video. It's pretty funny. We'll post it right up here, actually down here.
Good. It looks like they've taken the Christmas trees down.
Yes, and there's nothing Christian either. This should be great.
Oh, this could be such a wonderful Christmas play.
And now, South Park Elementary presents the happy, non-offensive, non-denominational Christmas play with music and lyrics by New York minimalist composer Philip Glass. As I turn and look into the sun, The rays burn my eyes.
Happy, happy, happy.
His performance burns my eyes.
How like a turtle the sun looks.
Looks like something
the
Ian
hell is
Omar
this?
and her brother would. These plain leotards.
This is horrible!
This is the most god-awful piece of crap I've ever seen.
I mean, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty atrocious. Because kids, they're supposed to be, happy and wear things that they'll regret in 20, 30 years, like we did in the 80s. Or
Yeah.
at least I do.
Hey, you're the ones who made it this way.
Yeah, it's because the Jews said it couldn't be Christian.
It wasn't our idea to take out Santa Claus.
All you bastards ruined Christmas.
so I mean, they asked for this. I mean, if you
Yep.
play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I mean, that's just ultimately the way it is.
Absolutely. Well, the mayor also said there's no Republican way to plow snow, nor a Democratic way to pick up the garbage. Likewise, there's no Christian way to mow the grass and no Jewish or Muslim way to pave the roads. And of course, a candidate for the mayor's office, Alderman Andrew Mindy, said, "Why are holiday colors a priority for city leadership with so many other pressing issues we face as a city? Why were blue, white, and purple deemed inclusive?"
Yeah, I mean, this you can't make this stuff up. This decision has.
By the way, other religions, have significance to colors mentioned in their texts.
Right,
It's not
sure.
just Christianity.
Sure, but this decision has sparked a hilarious reaction online. A lot of memes have been popping up. Snow people and Christmas meme kind of contest, if you
yeah.
will. And what's next? No winter decor using snowflakes because it's offensive to snowflakes. Wink, wink. Right? I mean, really. How dare you call me a snowflake? But one entry containing a clip from Matt Walsh's "What is a Woman" documentary included the text, "What is a snowman?" Because God forbid, it's not a snow person, right? It's snowman.
Watch where you put those charcoal bits.
Exactly. Another showed a frowning snowman Christmas cookie with a communist emblem on its hat. I mean, come on. I mean, really, really.
Oh, that's what those leotards remind me of. Some of the communist, workers' attire.
Oh,
All
okay,
the
yeah.
men and women are dressed the same.
Make everybody,
Plain.
completely plain. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Well, again, people just need to step outside of the altar of their feelings. So, what are facts? Well, I mentioned, colors have significance in not just one religion, but in
Sure.
other religions.
Right.
Like red is an important color in Christianity. Yes, true. Signifying Christ's blood, and Judaism, with the biblical meaning of red generally signifying earthliness.
Okay.
The Hebrew word for scarlet also has the same root meaning as the Hebrew word for earth, and this opens up to several parallels. The decorations in the tabernacle, which has a lot of symbolism in its use of color, used a lot of red.
Sure.
So you have Christians and you have Jews. Okay. The color green symbolizes immortality, eternal life, new growth, and it's like the color of vegetation. And for Christianity, in Psalms 1:3 puts it, "The leaf shall not wither." But green, is good for all these green energy people. Of course, can't
Sure.
forget them. That's a religion, isn't it?
Right.
And,
Cult.
and then. In the early years of worshippers, now we're just going back around into it with all the push for green energy. And Barrett, what about Islam?
Yeah, so, green is an immensely significant color in Islam as well. In the Quran, it's associated with paradise. And, it's in a lot of Islamic and Arab flags as well. But, it's in the Irish flag. I mean, these colors are used everywhere. And so, I just don't see why it is set up that it needs to be banned because of its supposed, use for one specific religion. Therefore, it needs to be banned. I would think that the holiday season is a time for everybody to come together. Honestly,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
Really.
And I know that we both personally like the blue and white Christmas lights.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up in Indiana for a long period of time, and my parents, they liked the multicolors, the color red, blue, green, that go on the houses, and yellow and go on the houses and stuff like that.
Fairness to them, this is the era where like there's still a lot of green and orange and like wallpaper in houses.
But there was snow. There was snow on the houses, and so it really, it really lit things up.
Yeah,
when I moved down to Houston, there's no snow really down here, and so I prefer the white lights because it kind of makes the house look like snow in a abstract kind of way, and so I kind of like the white lights wrapped around the trees and wrapped around the houses. So it kind of depends on where you are. In a snowy area, I like the multicolors. In a dry area,
the contrast.
Yeah, the contrast. I really like that.
Well, I would say the final nail in the coffin of the ridiculousness of this administration in Wisconsin. There's an article in NPR titled "How Red and Green Became the Colors of Christmas," and so in 1931 they were looking for branding for Santa, and they started off with like skinny Santa, and then Santa wearing different colors like blue and white and purple and blah blah blah, and it was the fat red Santa with the red and green decor that had the most marketing success. So, you could blame it on the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Coca-Cola Company, right? Because I mean, they're really kind of responsible for creating the modern Santa.
Exactly. So, this is just silliness. So yeah, blame Coca-Cola, I say, not Christianity.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so this is a short segment, but we wanted to bring you this information just because it kind of made us laugh that we still have municipalities doing this. But please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in. Welcome to Azimuth Podcast. I'm Kimberly McNabb.
And I'm Barrett McNabb. In this segment, we're continuing our coverage of presidential candidates with Dr. Cornel West. Now, we're being professional and covering all the political candidates as best as we can, and we're not advocating for or disparaging any of the candidates. We're just providing as much factual information as we possibly can to have you be able to make the decision on your own.
Mm-hmm. Dr. West, initially running as part of the Green Party, recently made headlines on October 5th when he declared his decision to run as an independent. Let's take a moment to watch his campaign video.
We have to have people who are in solidarity, who get beyond their petty differences and be able to hold hands symbolically and literally and fight by straightening your backs up.
It takes tremendous discipline, takes a tremendous courage to think for yourself, to examine yourself. That Socratic imperative of examining yourself requires courage. Wayne Butler Yeats used to say, it takes more courage to examine the dark corners of your own soul than it does for a soldier to fight on the battlefield. Courage to think critically. Courage is the enabling virtue for any philosopher, for any human being, I think, in the end.
People to carry out nonviolent civil disobedience. A couple of dozen people linked arms and were arrested.
Princeton University professor Cornel West was one of 19 people arrested on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court during a protest against money in politics.
You're joking!
Are you denying us access to a public building?
And we here because we want to keep the family center stage. Whiteness can't be reduced to white supremacy. You got a whole lot of white brothers and sisters fighting against white supremacy. We got a choice between neo-fascists like Brother Trump or milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden.
Wow. Well, I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean?
You almost agreed with me.
No, not at all.
See, your solar plexus winds towards my direction.
No,
I got it wrong.
All right.
You got to come back more often. We miss you.
Democrats feeding the Republicans, Republicans feeding the Democrats, and yet poor people, working people, finding themselves pushed to the margin.
I believe a Palestinian baby has the same value as an Israeli baby.
We have solidarity in the face of catastrophe. Let us march together. Let us fight together. Let us laugh together. Let us dance together. Let us smile together. Let us cry together. We will not allow the organized greed to have the last word. Love supreme or love supreme.
Okay, what'd you think?
Well, I always do appreciate when people are willing to go on various networks.
Across the political spectrum.
Yes, and so there was a clip of Sean Hannity. He's been, so what's considered right and then what's considered left arena. So I do appreciate that. I mean, what he says sounds good, but, I want to hear, like, have you done the thing or how you plan to do the thing, not just say, okay, this thing's good.
Right. I mean, you do have to form a government. I mean, you do have to, have
not just have
staffers with you and things like that.
Yeah, feel good taglines. It doesn't get that much done.
Right. That makes sense. But Dr. West's distinguished background as the Dietrich Bonhoeffer Professor of Philosophy and Christian Practice at the Union Theological Seminary, as well as his role as former university professor at Harvard and professor emeritus at Princeton, underscores his impressive academic achievements. He's also authored 20 books, and he's produced several music albums.
And he was also in 2 of the Matrix films.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Well, Dr. West's campaign has potential endorsement from Bernie Sanders supporters with his campaign policy of economic justice, with policies aiming to eradicate poverty, homelessness, and establish a federal universal basic income commission. Again, I'd like to see how he'd plan to pay for that.
Right, exactly. And some of those things, I can get behind. I mean, who wants poverty? Nobody wants poverty.
But you have to find out what causes it.
Exactly. And so anyway, the universal basic income. Again, how do you pay for something like that? I think that's just a bridge too far. Mm-hmm. But Dr. West's vision extends to worker justice, where he advocates for ending right-to-work states, like Texas, ensuring fair wages and providing greater protection for workers' rights. He's also a proponent of transformative justice, calling for the closure of facilities like Cop City and reallocating police funding to community-led forces. Huh.
Well, I wonder what standards those community-led forces would go by, though.
Exactly.
On racial justice, Dr. West stands for reparations, an end to mass incarceration, and the restoration of voting rights for all citizens. His approach to education justice emphasizes equal opportunities, free tuition for state and community colleges, and dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline.
Well, environmental justice is just another pillar of his campaign, with proposals for clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment. Okay, who can't get behind that? That's always good. I mean, whenever I take my son camping, we always clean up the campsite first, and I always try and teach him you want to leave a place better than when you found it. And so I can get behind those. But again, what regulations are those going to be? How are you going to pay for it? Who's it going to impact? What are the second and third order effects? Yep. But Dr. West aims to nationalize the fossil fuel industry and has introduced a global green and reconstruction initiative. And I'm really not for the nationalizing of any industries. I'm a free market person.
The free market. Let the people decide on their own, because, like I've said before, no one needs to subsidize the iPhone. It sells itself, right? You never need to see a commercial, really, for an iPhone. Like, yes, I want it, right? So Also important on the international stage, Dr. West takes a pro-ceasefire stance in Israel. He emphasizes the importance of helping his Palestinian brothers and sisters while holding a genuine love for all, including the Jewish community.
However, during a debate with Alan Dershowitz on Sean Hannity's Fox News show, Alan Dershowitz said that West, where he would stand regarding an enemy using a child as a shield, like human shields. Dr. West struggled to provide a really clear answer.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty he couldn't decide. So now, let's shift our focus to recent development of his campaign. Dr. West's decision to run as an independent. This sounds familiar. This move introduces complexities as the Green Party is already on the ballot in 17 states. Dr. West's campaign, in a statement, emphasized a focus on the people rather than internal party dynamics as the driving force behind this switch.
Well, Dr. West's independent candidacy is viewed as a potential spoiler for President Biden, particularly among his far left supporters. Read that as kind of Bernie Sanders supporters. While not a major force in the polls, the close proximity of Biden and former President Trump in surveys means that even a small shift could impact the Democrats' chances for re-election. I mean, we are looking at razor thin. If you look at some of the battleground states that were won by 5,000, 10,000 votes out of millions of votes cast, siphoning off even a small percentage of those, it's a big deal.
Yep. Additionally, Biden faces challenges from within his own party, like the new candidate, Dean Phillips, and outside, with former Democratic challenger Robert F. Kennedy Jr. polling as high as 20%. Alongside Democratic challenger, self-help author Marianne Williamson.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely interesting to see this. I don't know in the recent history of, and when I say like 20 years, that there has been this many challengers. Actually, you know what? I can think of one. Ross Perot. Ross Perot ran as an independent, but had conservative values, and he siphoned off President Bush's votes to allow Bill Clinton to win the presidency. I think even Perot has publicly said at the time that he did feel that he siphoned off and caused the election to go to Bill Clinton. But other than that, that's the only time I can think of this many people primarying against the incumbent president from his own side of the aisle.
When was you've been following politics a lot longer than I have? So in 2016, we saw, it seemed like 24, I think it was actually 17 Republican
had to have two debates per
the kids'
per
table
night.
and the adults' table, pretty
Right.
much. But on the Democrat side, or even left-leaning people, even if they're labeled as independents, when was the last time there were this many on the Democrat or left-leaning?
Well, yeah.
center,
So the 2016
side?
election.
This many candidates.
Yeah, I mean, there was a number of candidates that before it came down to Hillary Clinton being selected the nominee, but there were a number of candidates. Some military veterans were running, and so Bernie Sanders was running, and I want to say there was seven or eight Democrat candidates going through the primary process. Some of them dropped out, fairly early, but Williamson, Sanders, lasted a long time. Bernie lasted all the way to the end, to the convention, and picked up quite a few primary states as well. So it's just but the difference is that was an open primary for the Democrats. This instance, they already have a Democrat that's in the White House, and to see this many people surprisingly challenging, for the Democrat nomination is. I haven't seen this in quite some time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, We would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.